Hi guys, today I'd like to show you 7 ways to make your jazz comping more interesting. They all involve creating extra movement on an otherwise static chord change. Here's number 1. We can create movement by changing one or more notes of a voicing, while keeping others the same. Often this movement happens in the top voice, creating a strong melodic element, like this, or this. But it can also happen in the inner voices, like this or this. We can move more than one voice simultaneously, like this or this. And we can also create some single note melodic movement in between chords, like this or this. The second strategy is using different voicing structures to create variety in our comping. For example, switching between a 4-note, a 5-note and a 6-note voicing for the same chord creates movement, like this or this. Many jazz voicings have either the 3rd at the bottom, this is often called an A voicing, or the 7th. This would be a B voicing. Alternating between A and B voicings for the same chord is also a good way to create variety, like this or this or this. Number 3 on our list is 5-1 progressions. A dominant 7th chord resolving to a major or minor chord a perfect 4th up is the most common harmonic progression in all of Western music. When improvising chord accompaniment, this familiar 5-1 relationship is frequently used to create harmonic movement. There are 2 basic ways to do this: moving to the 5 chord of whatever chord you are on and then moving back, like this or this or this. Or preceding a new chord with its 5 chord, like this or this. Technique number 4 is similar in concept to the previous one, except it uses 2 5 progressions instead of 5-1 progressions. It is common to use the strong correlation between a minor 7th chord and the dominant 7th chord a perfect 4th higher to create additional movement. So, whenever you're comping on, say, a G7 chord, you can use its associated 2 minor chord, in this case that's D minor 7, to create extra movement, like this or this. This works with altered dominant and minor 7th fret 5 chords too, where the implication is that we're in a minor key, like this. And vice versa. If you're comping on a minor 7th chord, you can use the dominant chord a perfect 4th up to create movement, like this. Strategy number 5 is the use of diatonic neighbor chords. This involves moving every note of a voicing up or down the scale or mode that fits that particular chord. We can do this with any scale, but it's probably most frequently used with a major scale or in a Dorian or Mixolydian context. Here's a super common example. When comping on minor 7th chords using a so what voicing, we can move up a whole step and back. This is the technique used in the song So What itself, which popularized this famous voicing, like this or this. Another common variation of this is to move up 2 diatonic steps. This works well on major 7th chords, like this or this, and minor 7th chords, like this or this. Number 6 on the list is the same basic idea as number 5, except with chromatic instead of diatonic movement. This technique works really well with all chord qualities. Like this, or this, or this, or this. A variation of this technique is double chromatic movement, where the chord structure is moved by 2 half steps. Like this, or this. You can also start with the dissonant chord and then resolve to the target chord. This is called a chromatic approach, like this. We can also approach the target chord from both sides by half step, like this. And finally, we got tritone substitution. It is very common to substitute a dominant 7th chord with another one whose root is a tritone higher. For example, instead of a C7 chord, we can use G flat 7. Notice that the guide tones are the same in both chords, although the position the chord is turned around. The 3rd of C7 becomes the 7th of G flat 7, and the 7th of C7 becomes the 3rd of G flat 7. So we can simply replace the regular dominant chord with its tritone substitution, like this. Or we can use the regular dominant 7th chord first and then switch to the tritone substitution, like this. Where it gets really interesting is when we put a 2 minor chord in front of the tritone substitution chord, like we did earlier. So for example, I can turn a regular 2-5-1 in F, which is G minor 7 to C7 to F major 7, into this. G minor 7 to C flat minor 7 to G flat 7 to F major 7, like this. And that's it for today. Like and subscribe if you've got value from this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love.